Hey guys, today I am going to talk about the University of Chicago. UChicago. Besides Michael Jordan, besides Al Capone and deep dish pizza, what is there about Chicago that's so awesome? I actually lived in Chicago for 7 years. I went to school there. I studied there. I had a lot of fun and I had some traumatic experiences too.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yo, he's coming! Yo.
Wait till the end of the video and I will tell you about my traumatic experience at Chicago that you might need to know about. So here it goes. Well, when you consider schools, I think there are at least three big category of bucket things that you should consider. One is the people, the student body, right? The experience of the students. That's one. Two is the faculty, the teachers, right? The scholars there. And last but not least, three, the environment, the actual ecosystem, the city or the town that school is located in. The thing about Chicago is that everyone, mostly in California, West Coast, or New England, New York, East Coast. So when it comes to schools in the Midwest, people just kind of fly over to ignore it. But that is a grave mistake that people are making. There are a lot of great schools in the Midwest, and I highly, highly encourage you guys to do your research and think about the Midwestern schools, starting with the University of Chicago. Today, I'm going to give you a very, very honest, a candid review of all three, okay? Number one, the people at Chicago, the student body, what is it like? When I was in California, I met a teacher. She was a math teacher. Her name was Miss Kim,
Hello.
and I miss you, Miss Kim. She told me that I should not go to the University of Chicago, that it's the school that I should avoid.
No, no.
She went to Northwestern, which was the other big school in Illinois, the private school north on Evanston side.
The improbable season has taken an impossible turn. Northwestern has beat number one.
But anyways, she said that Chicago students carry these suitcases. They take life way too seriously.
Why so serious?
And when I got to Chicago, the Chicago, I realized that that wasn't true. Actually, students at the University of Chicago are a lot of fun. Yes, there's a phrase. It's called where fun goes to die.
Say what?
Right? That's actually a mantra that they embrace at University of Chicago. So on t-shirts, people talk about it all the time, but that's just for fun. It's actually sarcastic. It's kind of like them poking fun at themselves.
And here I am saying you got no sense of humor.
Yes, Chicago is very serious when it comes to academics. You're not going to find any student that's slacking off at the University of Chicago. They are there to actually get deep into their studies. They're really, really eager to have serious debates and discussions. There's this thing called Chicago Principles, right? This is what it is. I actually picked this up while I was visiting back. If you read it, it talks about how the University of Chicago fundamental commitment to principles of debate and deliberation, or recognize the need to embrace non-disruptive protests, legitimate means of free expression. 3, disruptive protests or other means of limiting the rights of others or engaging free expression, work, or open discourse is not acceptable. You get it. What they're saying in the Chicago Principle is that people should be able to speak their minds freely. Without fear of punishment.
I don't think there's any difference between free speech and thought.
That, my friends, is part of what is great about Chicago. Everyone is taken seriously about the things they say. People won't poo-poo what you say just because what you look like or where you're from or what you sound like.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Shh. Look. Shh. Let me tell you a little story about a man named Shh.
People will take you seriously at Chicago. Because you're at the university, people think that you have something worthwhile to speak on, and everyone will take you seriously and try to understand you and engage you in debate. I think this is one of the greatest attributes of the student body at the University of Chicago.
I love the University of Chicago and our culture of argument. At its best, we strive to be tough on ideas and kind to people, whereas much of other discourse these days seems to be the opposite. Tough on people, weak on ideas.
Of course, what I'm talking about is the predominant majority. There must be some outliers and there will be some students who are exceptions, but by and large, most students at the University of Chicago are extremely embracing and accepting of any free discussion, and they are actually serious about their studies. I've met some great friends at Chicago that I'll never ever forget.
When I say scab, you say hot. Scab! Scab! Scab!
and I think you will have a lot of fun. So all in all, the student body at the University of Chicago, yeah, they take themselves very seriously, but they have a lot of fun too. Where fun comes to die is a mantra that they embrace, but it actually doesn't really mean where fun comes to die. People actually have a lot of fun, but they have a lot of fun studying as well. So the student body, covered, got it? Boom. Moving on. Number 2, the faculty. This is probably the best and greatest attribute of the University of Chicago. The faculty at the University of Chicago are extremely good scholars, yet they're amazing teachers too.
This university is dedicated to teaching our students how to think.
You know, those two don't go hand in hand at most universities, actually most schools. If people are publishing or perishing, publish or perish, when they're publishing and doing scholarship, they tend to neglect their teaching, right, duties, but not at University of Chicago. These scholars take their students' feedback and their students' mind and thoughts so seriously. It is actually a part of their scholarship. They actually engage the students dead on closely. I've had many meals with my professors, and I've met many celebrity professors, and these people took their scholarship seriously and their teaching seriously. The University of Chicago has amazing faculty that are celebrities, Nobel laureates. They have people like Gary Becker, Richard Thaler. There's also Milton Friedman. There's, Stephen Levitt, the author of Freakonomics. All of these amazing professors are at the University of Chicago. And I honestly think that many schools who have these celebrity type professors, it's really hard to actually take classes with them, but not at Chicago. Students will be able to engage with these professors, will be able to dine with them, play chess with them, go to their homes, have some scotch, have some wine, have some cheese. It's actually quite fantastic. Speaking of professors, there's also Professor Ngo Bao Cho. He's a mathematician, Vietnamese mathematician who's genius. You can even spend time with him if you're a student and a scholar at the University of Chicago. So there you have it. Teachers are amazing at U Chicago. You won't be
Neglecting his needs.
They will engage you. You'll have a lot of fun with them. There it goes, number 2. So number 3, environment, ecosystem. What is it like to live in Chicago? Chicago is a beautiful city. Yes, it gets super cold though in the winter. That is not a minus. I like the 4 seasons. In fact, I think I've been to every single city. I haven't had actually a snowy winter. And that's probably because I grew up in California
Welcome to the Hotel California,
where there's not enough snow, and I kind of wanted the experience of snowing. Chicago has amazing restaurants, whether it be deep dish pizza at Illuminati's, Giordano's. It's amazing. Uno's Pizza. There's a lot of great deep dish pizza joints. And my favorite is Illuminati's, but whatever. There are hot dogs. There are many different types of hot dogs there. There's 5 diamond restaurants. There are amazing options at Chicago when it comes to dining and food. Beyond that, the campus actually looks beautiful. A lot of people actually don't take time to acknowledge the beauty of the University of Chicago campus. The quads, the buildings that look very Gothic and ancient. It's pretty cool. And then if you look at the law school building, which I spent a lot of time in, it's very modern and chic. It's actually a classic. I think it was built by some famous architect whose name actually escapes me, but I'll put it somewhere here on the screen for you to read. In any case, Chicago is a city that many people kind of neglect because they know New York and they know LA. But Chicago, they call it second city. Not because it's second to some other city, because it's a city of second chance. I don't know if you know, but Chicago, there was a huge fire in 1871 that really burned down the entire city. But that city, in its ashes, rose up again. And that's why the University of Chicago's mascot, actually look at it, is a phoenix, because from the ashes, a fire rises this university, which, like the phoenix rises from the ashes.
Reborn from the ashes.
I love this Chicago city. There's a river that flows right through the middle of the city. I think, most beautiful cities in the world have a river flowing right through it. Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, has a river flowing right through it. Seoul has a Han River flowing right through it. France has a river flowing right through it. Beautiful cities just have rivers going right through it. So there you have it. Chicago is a beautiful city with a river flowing right through it. Remember how at the beginning of this video, I told you that I will tell you about one thing that might actually bad, that actually was a bad experience that I had at the University of Chicago and Chicago in general. The first month I was at the University of Chicago, I had a traumatic experience. I was chased by some thieves
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yo, he's coming! Yo.
who wanted to take my wallet at gunpoint. It was scary. I actually had trauma from that. Nothing happened to me. I'm safe. Me and my classmate. What happened was after a day in the city, bunch of us, we were home, heading back home. I think it was around 7, 8 p.m. It was already dark because it was already fall, autumn time. And one of my classmates and I were walking, and we were walking right past the law school when we noticed a car trailing us. Suddenly, a man jumped out of the car and started running after us.
What the fuck, dude?
And we ran. We ran. At the time, there were constructions going on campus, so it was hard for people in these buildings to see what was going on. And I think the criminal, the crook, the dude who wanted to actually rob us was taking advantage of the fact that there was less visibility around the campus. In any case, nothing happened because we ran fast, and it was a good thing. But I talk about all this, and yes, your reaction might be, "Holy crap! I'm not going to go to University of Chicago for this." But guys, this was almost 20 years ago when this happened. The University of Chicago has become extremely safe and in some ways gentrified. It's really beautiful, and the campus has newer buildings, lights everywhere, and the criminal rate has gone down drastically. Chicago is home to many great leaders. President Obama, Chicago was and is still his home. There's amazing celebrities like Steve Levitt, the Freakonomics author that I talked about earlier. There's also Richard Thaler, who is the author of the book Nudge. He is a genius because he's a Nobel laureate. I went to UChicago for graduate school, and many of you have been asking about colleges, universities, graduate school, education in general, and so I thought I'd cover my alma mater. Chicago is a great place, and a lot of people call it home. I'm thankful that I got to call it home. I hope that this review helps you understand a little more about Chicago and the things that you can't read about on this website. If you have any questions, please comment below and I will respond and I'll tell you more about Chicago. If you have any questions, seriously, contact me. Thank you very much for your time. Next time I'll cover some other university. You have a good one. Bye.